from an undisclosed location in North America. You are watching Card to Card. And this episode, I found it pretty interesting researching this. This is Element 115. Now, this is a card from the MetaZoo Seance set. It's actually an artifact, not like a beastie. But I thought, hey, I love elements and stuff like that. Let's find out about this. So as you can see there, it's like a greenish element giving off a bunch of radiation or something. So, if you are familiar with chemistry, all matter in the universe is made up of elements. And I'm sure you've probably seen what is called the periodic table. So I actually have a picture here as we talk about this. There is the periodic table. You have all these different elements. You have like number 1 there, hydrogen. You have number 28 there is nickel. You have number 6 is carbon, so on and so forth. And then you have these down here at the bottom that are in the gray. So some of these are gases, some of them are metals, and then these ones down here in the gray, they have unknown properties. As you can see there in the key there. And one of these is number 115. So it is on the periodic table. So most gases, natural, non-metal elements, and metallic elements, they're all on there. And then these unknown property elements, element 115 is also known as mosconium. So you now might be wondering, why in the world would a card in MetaZoo be of just like an element? So this is where things get very interesting. So back in 1989, there was an Area 51 employee named Bob Lazar, and he went public with some top secret information about an unknown element, element 115. And Mr. Lazar, his job at Area 51 was to reverse engineer crashed flying saucers, believe it or not. He said that this element 115 was used to pilot these alien aircraft, somehow kind of fueled them or something, and powered their engines. He also stated that it was impossible to synthesize an element that was that heavy here on Earth, and so it had to be from a place where super heavy elements could be produced naturally. And of course, this is back in 1989, remember? And at that time, we didn't have all the elements on that elemental table. So this was a previously unknown element. So the spaceships that he was analyzing, they harnessed the power of gravity, and element 115 characteristics allowed that technology to exist. So now, we fast forward to Moscow, Russia, in 2003. And there was a nuclear physicist, Yuri Oganessian. He made several He made several atoms of element 115, and because they were the first ones to discover it or create it, manufacture it, or however they were able to make it, that's why it's called mosconium, because they were in Moscow. So, just as observed by Bob Lazar in this element 115, which is mosconium, it's very unstable, and it's very tough to study it because it's so unstable. It only lasts just a fraction of a second before it destabilizes or degrades. So to this date, there have been over 100 atoms of element 15 that have been created in labs. So another interesting note is that, in theory, a gravity propulsion engine would be able to travel faster than the speed of light in outer space. So that makes you wonder, when you think about Bob Lazar, was element 115 the key to humans being able to build spaceships utilizing gravitational propulsion, like building warp engines? Maybe those spacecraft that Bob Lazar was studying, maybe they truly did harness that power. And are we like closing in on this incredible technology? If they can somehow harness element 115. So there's actually a video here that can explain how these warp engines will work. So let's go ahead and roll that.
Suppose you wanted to take a trip to the North Star, like actually go there. I hear it's lovely this time of century. Well, the North Star is 4 million billion miles away, and there's a universal speed limit, the speed of light. Now, we don't have any ships that can go even nearly that fast, but even if we did, it would take over 400 years to get there. But what if, instead of traveling through space, we moved space around us in order to get to our final destination? And what if instead of taking 400 years, it took more like 4 months? Now, this sounds like science fiction, but NASA is actually funding some really, really early research related to the Alcubierre warp drive, which would allow us to appear to be breaking the universe's speed limit by bending space itself around us. If you take a slinky and stretch it out like this, it represents the space between Earth and the North Star. Quite a ways to travel. But if we can somehow find a way to expand the space behind us and contract the space in front of us, then we've made it most of the way to the North Star without having moved hardly at all. And that is exactly how the Alcubierre warp drive works.
Okay, so pretty interesting. That video, it goes on, but they do mention later on that, this technology, we're a long ways away from it, but it's scientifically feasible that if they can create that engine, that they could travel faster than the speed of light, which is unbelievable. So this is pretty incredible stuff, and pretty awesome to just have a card in MetaZoo about this incredible, mysterious element 115. Now, this is the part of the video where we take a closer look at the card, see if there's any Easter eggs in there. It definitely looks kind of like alien. I'm surprised this card was not in the UFO set. I wonder why they put it in the Seance set, because it would have fit perfect in the UFO set. Now, the flavor text. It says, an element once kept under wraps by secret government operations, element 115 is a very reliable power source for many UFOs traveling the cosmos. So, yeah, they're definitely talking about that, because if this is true, what Bob Lazar was saying about Area 51, these alien spacecraft that he reverse engineered were utilizing this exact element to power their engines. And you have to think that element is used in these warp engines, and maybe we're about to break through and start making our own warp engines, which would be unbelievable. So what do you guys think? Is this all a bunch of hooey? Was Bob Lazar, was he just a crazy guy that didn't know what he's talking about? Do you think there is such a thing as there is definitely such a thing as element 115, but do you think that it can be made here on Earth to where we can actually use it for something, instead of it like degrading so quickly? It's crazy. I love this kind of stuff. I love thinking about, warp engines, that if they could somehow make one, that it'd be unbelievable. You could get on a spacecraft and travel to another solar system. It's possible. So, will that happen in our lifetimes? Who knows? But anyway, if you're, walking around in Nevada somewhere and you see all these fences and warning signs, you definitely need to keep your eye out.